Hey horror fans, and welcome back to October Horror Fest review. Today we are going to discuss a cult classic film made that took advantage of Valentine's Day for its story. My Bloody Valentine. My Bloody Valentine was released in the United States on February 11th, 1981, and in Canada on February 13th, 1981, and managed to make a little over $5.5 million. The film has a massive cult following and is a much-liked Canadian-made film. The film was shot in Sydney Mines, Nova Scotia, and was filmed in a real mine 2,700 feet below the surface. Right before I talk about the plot, I wanted to discuss the infamous 9 minutes of missing footage. Fangoria showed pictures back in the 80s of the cut footage due to MPAA being stubborn. It is believed that a cable channel called ONTV showed the entire uncut version in 1982. The uncut version was released in 2009 to coincide with the remake My Bloody Valentine 3D. However, only 3 minutes of extra footage is present, and it is believed the other 6 minutes still exist, including the characters Michael and Harriet being double impaled. Hopefully these scenes will surface and we will get a full uncut version, but at least we get to see a third of the footage. The film starts with two miners going down some tunnels and go into an area, and one of the miners turns around and discovers the other is a woman getting undressed. And after a provocative show, the male miner sees a Valentine's Day tattoo and flips and grabs the poor girl and pushes her into a pickaxe, stabbing right through her heart, and she screams and cuts to the opening title. After the miners discuss the Valentine's Day dance, which is the first in 20 years, they race to town and whoever is last buys the beer. The nervous mayor arrives and gets a scare along with the decorator by the practical joker Howard, and just before the mayor leaves, Howard gives him a heart-shaped candy box somebody left for him. While driving, the mayor opens the box and there's a goddamn human heart. The chief and mayor race to a coroner's office, and while that's going on, at a bar, the bartender tells us the story of Harry Warden. 20 years earlier, a Valentine's Day party is going on and 7 miners are still working, and 2 supervisors leave for the party, not waiting for the men and failing to check the methane gas levels. The 5 men are buried in an explosion and the supervisors are getting drunk at the party. After digging around the clock for 6 weeks, they find Harry Warden alive, who is seen eating an arm. After a year in a mental hospital, he went back to town and killed both supervisors and cut out their hearts, and then put them in candy boxes and left them at the dance. After that, for 20 years, never had another Valentine's Day dance. After the coroner confirms it's a human heart, they are convinced it's Harry Warden. While they try and confirm he's still locked up, the decorator is stalked and killed. The next day, the mental hospital can't find any records and microfilms will take several days to look through. A side story of 2 former lovers getting back together, and she must tell her currently boyfriend they're over. The chief finds the decorator's body in a dryer, heavily burned, and that night we have a spooky sequence of Sarah walking home and gets scared by the chief, who's keeping a lookout. That night at the bar, they make plans to have a party at the miners' rec room, against police orders. The bartender rigs a dummy suit on pulleys to scare them, but he hears something and opens the door and gets killed by the real killer. The next night, they are having a party in the kitchen. A guy gets killed in boiling water and puts his heart in with the hot dogs and stuffs his body in the fridge. The chief hears dogs growling out front and sees a bloody heart-shaped candy box full of blood and a note saying, "You didn't stop the party." 2 lovers are making out, but the guy gets beers and the killer stalks her and scares her, then kills her in the showers. A group goes down to the mine on a roller coaster kind of feel, and a girl comes screaming, finding the body in the fridge, and the other guys finds the girl dead in the showers. Everybody scrambles and leaves, and several find the chief and tell him what's going on. TJ and Axel go in the mine to search for the group. The group exploring the mine head up towards the main shaft and hears smashing. It's the killer smashing lights behind them. getting closer to them every second. TJ finds the group and tells them what's going on, but two of the group is making out. So two of the guys go and find them, and one finds them dead and is attacked with a nail gun by the killer. He makes it back and then dies. They see the killer coming, and Howard, the coward, runs off. Axel finds the girls and they head for an elevator, but a case of mistaken identity results in TJ getting hit with a log. The elevator control panel is smashed. They climb, but Howard, dead, comes down hung and gets decapitated. They go through the sub, which is an area underwater, and Axel splits up, and they see his light in the water, and it's 60 feet deep, and he drowns. They take two different ways, and one of the girls is killed, and the other meets back up with TJ. And they make it to the rail cars with the killer hot on their tail. They fight and fall off and get in another fight in a ventilation shaft, and they discover Axel is the killer, and he witnessed his father's murder 20 years earlier. Axel is buried, and the cavalry arrives and digs, and Axel survives but cuts off his arm and goes into another area of the mine, yelling and laughing, completely gone insane, and that's how the film ends. This film has a good story and a memorable climax, but unfortunately had no real sequel opportunity, at least one no one took advantage of. Another reason it didn't have major success is while the miner is a killer we will all remember, the character Axel was just a guy, so it kind of ruined the killer's unstoppable force. However, this film is very enjoyable and I recommend it to any horror fan. It is personally one of my favorites. Please tune in tomorrow as I discuss another horror-related topic. This is the Entertainment Wizard, signing off.